All right, so starting off in the 2023 Chevrolet Suburban High Country. Let's go for a drive. Interesting little levers here for the gear selector. Lift the little reverse button. Beautiful rear display comes up. Sharp cameras. Excellent visibility in the cameras and resolution. Lots of different camera angles, which make it very easy to back out and to park even in tight spaces, which takes a lot of the anxiety of driving a vehicle this large out of the equation. So starting off in the high country, we have the 6.2 liter 420 horsepower 460 pound-feet of torque V8 naturally aspirated, and it's sublime. I've driven the 6.2 liter V8 in the GMC Sierra, and I liked it a lot, but for some reason it feels tuned to be more responsive here in the Suburban, and it gets up and goes, as you can probably see. Car and Driver rated or clocked the Suburban, this high country, 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds, which is pretty impressive. It's definitely quick, it goes, and really enjoyed driving it. In fact, it gets far better fuel economy than maybe what you're expecting as well. Even had it up to, averaging about 18 miles to the gallon on some of these drives, which is right in line with the EPA estimates. Now, speaking of the EPA, it rates it as 14 miles per gallon in the city, 18 on the highway, 16 combined, which for something this large and heavy, not bad. Now, also, just some things to note here. This has an overall crash test rating of 4 stars, and which I think is pretty good. The rollover is the one that brings it down. It only has 3 stars, but has a lot of safety tech. This has everything you could want on it. This optioned out totals $86,250. This is equipped with the High Country Deluxe package, which includes the wonderful Air Ride adaptive suspension and the assist steps that automatically retract, the max trailering package, the rear seat media system, which is $19.95, and I don't know that it's really worth it. I would just buy a couple of really nice iPads and call it good, but the screens back there do look very nice, and they're relatively easy to use. Whether it's $2,000 is going to be up to you. Now back to this adaptive Air Ride suspension. It is wonderful. Chevy knows how to do their really nice Magna Ride and Air Ride suspensions, and this is no exception. Over bumpy roads around the city, as well as on the freeway, this thing rides superb. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the same suspension that you'll find in the Escalade. Which brings me to one of my main points about this car. I'm not going to go into all the specs and all the features. You can watch other videos that probably do even a better job at showing all the technology. But suffice it to say, this thing is loaded, as it should be for $86,000. It rides really well. It's very comfortable, especially for rear seat passengers. There's plenty of room for adults and children in every row. So, for hauling people and gear, as you probably know, Suburbans are top notch, and they sell a ton of these for a reason. It pretty much doubles as a truck in a lot of ways. You can put the seats down and put in a lot of gear, a lot of just whatever you need to haul around. When it comes to the price, my one drawback when it comes to the Suburban is the similar complaint that I've had with other GM products, and it is the seats. Now, the seats are not uncomfortable, but they are small. They're more narrow than what you're probably expecting, especially compared to some of the competition. Now, I haven't been in one of the new Escalades, but from what I've heard, the new Escalade, its seats are more comfortable and wider and more accommodating. I'm a normal sized, white American male. I'm 5'9". I'm 183 pounds, I think, last time I checked. Probably a little more after all the pie I've been eating lately. But so just a normal sized guy. And I don't find them all that supportive, especially under my thighs. They're not very deep. I think that if Chevy was willing to upgrade their seats here in the front, this would be the perfect road trip machine. Now, as it is, I think it's very good. I think the materials are pretty solid. $86,000 feels slightly steep, but for the special air suspension that you're getting as part of that package in the High Country is wonderful, and it's hard to deny. The technology is fantastic. The screens are high resolution. It's easy to use. There's physical buttons for a lot of your different things down here. There's lots of different drive modes. You can raise and lower the ride height. It tows a heck of a lot. It's tough to argue with. If you've got 86 grand and you want something that's really luxurious but not quite into the Escalade level of materials, you don't want the Escalade brand, maybe you don't want that perception, you're getting, I would say, about, from what I can tell, 80 to 85% here in the High Country, which is the top trim for the Suburban right now. You're probably getting about 80 to 85% of the Escalade's luxury, and it's, nice leather everywhere and cool features for, less than 100 grand. You're probably saving, like $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. So, but if you want the top tier, go for the Escalade, especially for those seats, which I admit I haven't tried. But I really enjoyed it. I love this V8. It's so responsive in the 10-speed transmission. The one thing I will say too is this is an enormous vehicle, but it drives way smaller than what you're probably expecting. I haven't really been intimidated by it, and I thought I would be. I've had it in actually some pretty tight parking lots at some different restaurants. And I will say that the cameras that are in this take a lot of the anxiety out of that driving experience where you might be worried about it being so big and parking it. So that's going to kind of sum up my thoughts. I wanted to keep this brief, but I would give this Suburban just a wholehearted endorsement. I think it's wonderful. I just wish it came with more throne-like seats that were maybe just a little more plush, a little more laid back and just lounge-like. But as it is, I think this is a fantastic hauler and very good without having to venture clear into the Escalade territory. So that'll wrap it up. Thanks, guys, for watching as always. Please subscribe. Always happy to grow the channel and hopefully help some people out in their purchase decisions, especially when you're considering dropping almost $90,000 on a family hauler. Okay, we'll talk to you later. See ya.